following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin.
Hey everyone, this is Christine.
I'm Jada.
Oops, I'm Janice.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks for coming and joining us today. We are really excited because we have Steve Oskard back with us this week. So we'll bring him on in a few minutes. But I love catching up with my girlfriends at the beginning of the hour. How's your week been, Jada? What's been happening with you?
Well, I'm in not a normal space.
We see this.
I'm visiting a certain someone, and if you hear traffic, I'm trying to mute it. But yeah, life is good. Business is good. Life is good. You know, keeping it going.
I love seeing that big old smile on your face.
Yeah, I'm smiling for sure.
Oh,
What was that, Janice?
I just said good. I love when she's happy. This is so, yeah, it's good. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I feel very joyful when my friends are joyful.
What about you, Janice?
Well, I had the best week, and one of the reasons being Christine was here. Yay!
Yeah, I saw that. I was jealous. By the way, I had FOMO.
Yeah,
It was
we
really
missed
fun.
you.
I have to say, it was really fun.
So I flew to Denver.
So it was, almost exactly a week ago. I'm so sad that she left. We had a blast. Go ahead.
Oh. Yeah, I flew into Denver and spent 2 days with Janice, or a day and a half with Janice. And then I met her friends who were really fun. And hopefully I didn't shock them too much with my,
No, you
personality.
had everybody eating out of your hands. Christine is so good at telling stories and commanding a crowd.
Oh yeah.
She had everybody like cracking up, like crying tears because of her stories. It was great. No.
And then Janice took a road trip up to Wyoming with me and met my family. And
I love that.
Yeah. And so we got an Airbnb. She got an Airbnb that was killer in Cheyenne. And then we shopped like crazy women and just really had a good time. And I hated leaving. It was really fun.
Oh, I love you guys. I love it.
Wyoming was really cool. It was fun meeting Christine's family. It was fun seeing a new place. It was beautiful this time of year in Wyoming. It was, super. It was such a girls' trip, too. It was just, indulgent and like talking shit and doing a bunch of shopping.
We like
Watching Queer Eye, doing face masks, everything that you think you would do with a girls' trip.
We did a massive, what's it called when you watch all the episodes of something?
A marathon?
Binge watched.
We binge watched Queer Eye, the new
episodes a day.
Yeah, we watched a couple episodes each day of Queer Eye, the new season, and it was so powerful. I was crying every episode. It was really nice. And, quite frankly, it was really nice to have somebody normal come back home and meet some of my family who now Janice can see a little insight of some of the trauma I went through growing up. Not all my family is crazy. Seeing my sister, brother-in-law, niece, and my nephews was great. Seeing my aunt and uncle and my cousins was great. And my adopted family, the Browns, that was great. But, I have a step-grandfather that really has added a whole level of PTSD.
You just so far, you live in Burbank, and we were in, not just rural Wyoming, but really rural Wyoming.
Like Wyoming.
To Christine's hometown. Would you consider Chugwater to be your hometown? 175 people, the smallest town I think I've probably been to. It was very cute, but it's just like, damn, girl, you've gone really far from this place.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that because
like
girl
really,
needed to hear that.
I don't think I would think small town girl if I
would never have guessed that with you. Ever.
Very small town, very country hick. There are things about me, that I am a country girl and I am like all about certain aspects of that world, but I was always the oddball in the town. I was always the different one, the forward thinking. I was mercilessly teased for being pretty or for being talented or for being the best at all the sports, or I really had it pretty tough. But it was kind of nice to go back with someone who saw it in a I could see it through Janice's eyes, and there were moments I was thinking, oh good God, this is quite painful, but it was nice to have that support, and it was nice to have someone say, wow, you're not this. So thank you. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And I thought that, it was such an honor to have someone actually want to bring me along to meet their family and see where they came from, because as someone with a similar background of things you don't want to think about, like that's a very personal, intimate thing to share with someone. So it meant a lot to me as well.
Thank you. It was nice. It was really nice. And we travel incredibly well together. Janice and I have a great time. We laugh our asses off. So Jada, you have to go on our next trip with us. I
100%. Sign me up.
We need to pick something fun like Seattle or New Orleans or something, and New York even, and just
even Jada coming to Burbank would be awesome, and we could go back to what was it? Wasn't Catalina Island? Where did you take? Oh, Balboa Island. Like even something little like that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yes, I am looking to do Burbank. By the way,
you need to come for our party, which is on the 17th for all the industry people. Yeah. And then if you come for the weekend, the day after our party, if you would like to, then the three of us can go kayaking again or stand up paddleboarding or something and go see Balboa Island, or even go to Catalina. If we book it now, we might be able to go. So
okay.
All right. Well, let's call it in. Let's get Jada there, and then we'll let the rest fall into place.
Well, before we bring Steve on, I have something that I found this a couple of days ago that I want to kind of put out there. We do try to give as much advice a lot about how to find somebody, where to go to meet someone if you're not on a dating site or don't have a matchmaker. And a lot of people worry about, how do I meet someone authentically? And I saw this really great video from this guy who posted, and I think it was on the Reels for Facebook. And I tried to remember where and who he was, and I have not been able to re-find it. But it was advice from a guy for women on where to meet men. And he had this advice that was so funny and so cool that I was like, oh, I gotta talk about it. So he's saying going to a hardware store like Lowe's or what's the other one? DIY Center or any of those big
Home Depot.
Mm-hmm. And he said there are two aisles to stay away from and two aisles to go to. Okay. The first two aisles don't go to, because these are the aisles where they are picking up stuff for their honey-do list from their wives.
Oh my God, this is so interesting.
So the paint aisle, do not go down there. No guy is going to paint by himself or choose to decor his house on his own if he's a single guy. He says if you see a guy in a paint aisle, run away. He's got a ring, or if he's not wearing it. And the other one was the what's it called? The wood department. where you get lumber, the
Yeah.
lumber department. He said they're again doing home improvement. Okay. And most likely, if they're a contractor, they're not getting their lumber from a hardware store. They're having it delivered by a big company.
Well,
so
maybe they're building their fences and they're a cowboy.
yeah, no.
They're a rancher.
Well, if they're a cowboy and building fences, they got a wife on that homestead, honey. So those are the two aisles that he was saying to stay away from. And the two aisles to go to is the tile aisle, where they're tiling their floors and doing their floors. He said for some reason, men love to focus on their floors when they're single. I don't know why he said this. He's a guy. I don't always get what men say. He says that this is someone who's handy and somebody with money, because if you're in the tile aisle, you're going to be spending quite a bit of money. Okay. Also, he said the most important one is go to the aisles, that section that has all the tools, and not just your normal tools, the bigger tools. And he says there's 3 tiers. He said men who go to the tool aisle will most likely be single. Okay. He said, but there's 3 sections. There's 3 different color tools: pink, orange, and red. Okay, so handles will have red on it or pink on it or orange on it. He said if they are in picking up a tool that has pink on it, they are not on your team. Okay, they are not dating women. If they're orange, they're most likely in a relationship. And if they are picking up the red ones, and red ones, by the way, are more expensive. If it's a red tool, it's more expensive. And what happens is they've got 1, money, and 2, manly men like the red tools. And you want to strike up a conversation and or ask for their advice or ask them for help.
Ooh.
And then you can strike up a conversation. Ask them, say, hey, do you like this tool? Or what about this tile? Do you think it goes with this? And then strike up.
Do you like this tool?
Interesting way to start a conversation. Do you like this tool?
You have lots of tools. Would you like to work on me?
Right.
Say, I have to drill something or screw something in. Do you know which one I'd use?
Interesting.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I thought that was fun. So today, I don't know. I thought that was fun.
There is listening and this resonates. I think this would be a really fun episode for my podcast. So please be in touch.
I'm actually going to try this out. I know I'm in a relationship. My boyfriend could give a shit what I go and do. He trusts me 100%. He is down for the count for me. He knows that I am the most fucking loyal woman in the world. So he knows, I could literally say, hey, babe, I'm going to go do some research and I'm going to Lowe's. See you later. And I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how this goes, and we're going to report back to you guys. I'm going to go to 3 different home improvement places and go to those 2 aisles and the other ones and see if they really are single or married or whatever.
Well, what about a man who's either shopping for or adding to his tool belt? Because I think we probably all agree that a tool belt is highly enticing.
Highly. Yeah. Oh, she's saying, so our producer.
Wear a body cam.
She says wear a body cam. That's a great idea.
I love it.
Maybe this is what we can do when we're all together in LA.
Let's all go.
Let's go to Lowe's.
Let's go to Lowe's, sisters. So today we have Steve Oskard back. We love having Steve on the show. He's quite an intelligent man, and he really knows his shit when it comes to sex education and helping couples open up and building a stronger relationship. Today we're talking about authenticity when dating, and we're going to bring Steve on now, and we're going to ask his opinion on what tools he likes.
Hi there. Well, you will find me in the tool aisle.
See?
Yep. See, going to the tool aisle at a store is kind of like tool porn for me. I just like walk up and down the aisles and it's like, ooh, what do I want to build and what do I want to? What tools do I need?
See?
Really?
I agree.
Interesting.
Nice.
Because I'll tell you, there's nothing like when you're trying to build something and you don't have the right tool for the job. So you're kind of making do with what you've got. And then you buy the right tool and you resolve your issue just like that. You know,
I love it.
What are
See?
you building? This is hot. What are you building?
Did any of that resonate with you, Steve?
well, somewhat. I mean, I've built some furniture and I'm very handy. I love doing that stuff. But I'll tell you, it's funny. As I was listening, first of all, I thought I was listening to some girl talk. I was like, am I eavesdropping? Am I allowed to be listening to this conversation?
Yes.
Felt like I was eavesdropping and I shouldn't be there.
I love it.
But I really, I love the title of the show because so much of the internet memes and Instagram posts is so much bullshit. People are more interested in their own opinions than what is happening out there. So if you go do the research, I agree. I want to know what you discover. Is this just some guy talking? Right. Trying to be funny? Is he trying to, I don't know who this guy was, so I'm not trying to insult him in particular. But, so much of what I see on the internet nowadays is people just spouting off their own opinions as if it's the law. When I talk about things, I'm more interested in my clients' views, and it's never the same. No two clients are alike.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my work is really focused on people making choices for themselves and making some mistakes. Like get in there and just make some mistakes and then come back and we'll debrief and learn.
Mm-hmm. Go to the lumber aisle and
go to the lumber aisle.
No,
see what you find out.
That's
Switch
the
up your routine.
Paint aisle and lumber aisle. No.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You'll find you've been skipping the paint aisle all these years, and all of a sudden you take a detour and meet the person of your dreams. I mean, come on.
You never know.
I always liked to go when I was little. My dad was a big construction person, and we would have to go there on the weekends, and I found it so boring. Home Depot and Lowe's, like seriously stab me in the eyes. But I always liked going to the light fixture aisle with all the hanging lights. And I would just go in there and just like pace it when I was little. And I thought it was so pretty.
Oh, that's cute. I love that aisle too. I'm always searching for chandeliers for my lighting company. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to go on a field trip and I'm going to check it out and we're going to see what's what. So, Steve,
if I could say one more thing, because it ties right into our topic about authenticity, is whether it's a hardware store or anywhere, go someplace where you have curious questions that are authentic. It's like you wouldn't ask a question about something that you already knew. That would be phony. But if you genuinely have a question about how this tool works or what the best tool is for this job or which, brand you should buy, and somebody's standing around who happens to be an attractive person, go ask them, because you then have an authentic reason to engage in conversation with them. But if you're just going there to think, okay, do I need any paint? And then you're just like trying to find reasons to start up a conversation, it's already contrived.
I love that. It kind of happened. It wasn't a man. It was a woman. I had to go buy a small suitcase when I went to Denver this weekend because I brought the wrong carry-on that had no wheels and it was pulling on me. And I bought way too much shit while I was there. And I needed
carrying it with both arms as she was walking.
It was like my 50-pound fucking baby. So I had to go buy a new suitcase. And I was in the store and I had 3 little suitcases lined up, 3 different kinds. And I was standing there and I just couldn't decide. And I saw this lady in the aisle and I turned and said, "Hey, excuse me. I sometimes ask random strangers their opinions, and I was wondering if you could tell me your opinion on which one to buy, because I don't know. And she literally got so into it. She was like opening them up, telling me which one had a better aesthetic, which one had little pockets. She's like, and the price. She got so into it. And she was like, oh my God, this was so much fun. Thank you for asking me. And I said, well, thank you for being my random stranger today.
Oh,
yeah. So if we look at that, you basically just reached out and invited someone to participate with you. And whether you're seeking a friend or a new lover, that's what people want in the world. They want someone welcoming, someone who invites you to, hey, come play with me. I'm looking for a great new suitcase. What do you think? And that's like, if it's an invitation for them to engage with you and they're a yes, then you know they're a player. It's like, game on, let's enjoy each other. And whether you make a new friend or you make make a connection with someone you want to date, that's the formula for being in life, making new friends. I mean, go back to our childhood. What do we want on the playground? Hey, you want to come play this game with me? You want invitations that feel good and are authentic for you.
Yeah.
So I love that story.
If you're like, if you're going into a place like a clothing store or say a grocery store and people are saying, oh, nobody ever interacts. Well, just do what I just did. Like say you're in a grocery store and there's a cute guy in the aisle, walk close to him, see something that's in front of him, say, oh, excuse me, pull it off, look at it and go, have you ever tried this brand? Do you know if it's any good? That's simple. If you're in a store, somebody's standing there or maybe the next aisle over and you pull out a shirt and you walk up to him and say, excuse me, I can't really gauge this, but do you think this color is good on me? Or is this print too loud? It's like, just ask, just engage. So I agree with you, Steve. I think to me, that's the funnest part.
Giving compliments. If maybe you don't want to ask a question, giving a compliment to someone can open up a conversation that can really be bonding, and that can help you to establish some common ground. So because I probably wouldn't ask someone's opinion, but I would give a compliment, which is kind of the inverse of that.
You know, it's funny. I'm actually not a big fan of giving tips because then people turn them into a formula, but I'm loving where this conversation is going, because it really, you know, if I also look at my history, I was so shy, you know, but what you just said is like, I could easily say, oh, that, you know, if somebody's holding up a blouse or something, I can say, oh, that color looks really good on you. Yeah. That wasn't hard at all.
I compliment women a lot. I do it on purpose. If I see someone and they just look frazzled or they look sad or they just have no expression on their face, I mentally look for something like, maybe I like their shoes, or maybe I like their shirt, or they have color in their hair like me. And I pick something, and I always just randomly walk by a girl and go, girl, you are rocking those shoes. And I just keep walking. And I try really hard to compliment women, because women don't always support women. And I have always felt that we need to have each other's backs, and we just need to not be afraid to think that another woman is beautiful or sexy, you know, because we're intimidated by that. That's stupid. It's stupid. Be confident within yourself and give confidence to others. That's how I like to do it. So.
But it can work in dating, I think, as well. It's easy to find something to remark upon if you're in public and you see someone that you're interested in. I mean, you have to start the conversation somehow.
Yeah.
I like when someone approaches me and compliments me first, but, you know, it doesn't always work that way.
Practiced acknowledgement. That's one thing that I had to really learn, because I didn't grow up with a lot of acknowledgement. And I think it's great. And one thing that you could practice with is where the stakes are really low. So if you know, like with a bartender and asking them, you know, what's a good drink, or if you're with the server, hey, what's good on the menu. That's not the stakes are low. They have to talk to you.
Well, that's why I'm so often telling singles, like, go to the restaurant that has a bar top and sit there, and you will naturally have conversations, at least with the bartender who will be in front of you, and you can build upon that because you get more used to just having organic conversations.
Yeah. How about that old dude that was sitting next to me on the bar stool when we went to Idaho Springs this weekend? There was this old cowboy sitting next to me, and he just looked at me and goes, "I really like the blue in that hair there, girl." And I was like, "Well, thank you. I like your dirty boots." And he's like, had this full-on life story that we just shared, and he just was so fun, and he told me all about his friend, his life, and I was like, ooh, his friend's life would make a great documentary. And it opens so much. It opens so many doors, and you get to meet so many interesting people and opportunities that you never knew was right there under your nose. So I like that. I think it's super powerful.
And even though you didn't intend to date him, it still is good to keep the wheels greased up. And even if you're at a bar and you start talking with someone, it increases your confidence because of your ability to do that. And so now you're proving yourself wrong that you can't meet people in real life because you've just done it.
Yeah. Well, if someone who's listening says to themselves, well, this doesn't work for me because I don't go to bars, I don't drink. I rarely drink. I drank more with Janice this weekend than I've drank in like a year. And I think I had like 5 drinks this whole weekend. But I don't either. But you can go and have a soda, maybe have some finger food at the bar and sit there. And there are other people that sit down, and you never know. You might meet a girl who has this big group of friends, have a bunch of single guys that you can meet, or you can meet a cute guy who has a friend or a cousin that, you never know. So I do like that. I do like that. So tell us, Steve, when you're talking about authenticity when dating, what are you talking about? What comes to mind when you are referring to authenticity in that kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, when we were speaking before in preparation for this, I was thinking about how people end up with partners that bring up the worst in them, and how they end up noticing, I'm not really being my best self with this person. How did I end up here? How did this relationship, it started out where we kind of were attracted to each other. This was going great. And then all of a sudden, different people showed up in the relationship. Me not being my best self, and they're not being their best self. How did this happen? And part of it, a lot of what I'm hearing from dating coaches is the vetting process is really important, or how you screen people. Well, my question for those coaches and for people who have really engaged in vetting or screening people is, who's doing the choosing? Is this you? Is this your greatest self? Or is this your wounded self that's doing the choosing? Is this a young version of you that wants the guy or gal or whatever that you couldn't get in when you first started dating? Like we all had this idea of a look or a type, if you will, when we were young and just discovering attraction and just discovering dating. There became this type. And is that the person that's still doing the choosing now in your life? I noticed that for myself, that I'm often looking from the young eyes that couldn't have the girl that looked a particular way, and there's certain archetypes. Like there's the captain of the cheerleaders. There's the captain of the football team. There's it's like that. Is that the archetype that you were into then, that you couldn't be with,
or that you were maybe the most attracted to because of that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is from conditioning. Sorry, my screen just went
I
blank
always
there.
go for the bad boys because I was such a skate chick, and I always wanted like whoever was the best skater.
Yeah.
But more recently I've tried to like intentionally go for people who are not that. I still feel like maybe I'm not getting it right.
That's a great point. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Janice, I that's interesting that you say that because your journey and your story is so incredible. And I feel like
Thank you.
you're changed as far as some of the things that you look for. So that's interesting that you say that because we all have a type, but that's interesting that you say that because I feel like it's changed a little bit.
It definitely has, and maybe I shouldn't have put it that way, but it's just I would encourage everybody to definitely look outside of their type, especially if you think that you have patterns or you just can't seem to make it work, or you keep on having failed relationships. I put those in heavy quotes because every relationship is a lesson. Try to open yourself up to what you wouldn't normally go for.
I have to say, Steve, that something that you said really resonated with me. You said, sometimes when you're with someone, it kind of brings out something that doesn't seem like you. I can very distinctly remember a handful, not very many, but a handful of men that I thought, oh my gosh, they were so cute, they were so sweet, or they were this or they were that. And I found myself walking all over them, being overly aggressive in a weird way, and being kind of fucking mean or rude. And that is not me. I am not that way. But something instinctively was telling me that this was not the right person to be with, and it brought out these really bad things that are not typically how I behave, especially with anybody who's for any reason. But I found that there have been some times that I have had those bad qualities come out in myself, and then I have to stop and step back and go, okay, this person isn't for me. I have to get away from this person because I am being terrible to them for whatever reason, whether it's something inside me or something in them that my spidey senses are going off. But yes, I have found that has happened.
Yeah. So my curiosity leads me to ask, what if it wasn't about them? Like, what is it that you observed? I would be curious. I'd start wondering, is this some expression that I'm seeing over there with them that's a version of me that I can't be with? Like maybe they had a softer nature that you saw as weak. So you or a part of you had to now control them because you couldn't stand it. So we're always in response to people and not who they truly are, but how they occur to us, how they seem to be, who they remind us of.
Someone once told me that anytime you feel annoyed or irritated with someone, it's an opportunity to look inward.
Yeah.
And what that signal is trying to teach you about yourself.
Yeah.
Not that people can't be annoying, but it's really, why is this annoying me? Like, why is this irritating me? Why is this triggering me?
Yeah. Like, what if we're all just mirrors for each other?
Oh, yes.
And it's like, I see something I love and admire, and that's something within me that I can appreciate about myself. Well, isn't the same thing true? If I see something I can't stand about something, it's an aspect of me that I can't stand.
Yeah.
And instead of pushing those people away, and I'm not saying we should then find a way to be in relationship with them. I'm not saying that's the way to be, but if I could just be with it for a little bit and learn whatever lesson there might be to learn about it. Like the people who show up in our lives, whether they're going to be friends, lovers, or just acquaintances or passersby, that they show up when they show up for the perfect opportunity for us to learn something. Are we going to mine for the gold and learn, or is it just going to be a missed opportunity? Because how many of us have repeated some of the same experiences with people where we said, I'll never do that again. I'll never choose a person like that. And then our next relationship is that times 3, you know?
When I think this is about 30, God, I can't even, 34, 32 years ago when I was in my early 20s. Yes, I'm in my 50s. And proud. You gotta be. What are you gonna do? Can't stop the aging process. You can just gracefully take it. So anyway, in my early 20s, I dated this incredibly beautiful man, inside and out. He was hot, he was sexy, he had everything going for him. He was so loving, he was so sweet, and he wanted to marry me. And I just was like running the other direction. And it was like weird that I found things that I had to convince myself he wasn't that person for me. And at the time, it was probably because I didn't think I was worthy of such a great guy, for sure, because I was freshly out of growing up in an abusive home. But at that time, his hands looked like my stepmonster's hands. And to me, I couldn't be touched by it. I just couldn't. And I broke his poor heart. And I have regretted breaking his heart to this day. I wish that I had been so enlightened at the time that I could see past that or work past that or get help sooner. Not that who's to say I would ever still be married to him because, whatever. But I do see that we sometimes bring up things to I don't know the word I'm looking for. Protect ourselves, I guess, or push people away for some reason. I wasn't showing up authentically in relationships then because I personally didn't know what my authenticity was.
Yeah. I love that because you point to something that you actually did recognize, that his hands reminded you of stepfather. Was it your stepfather?
Yeah.
So that your hands reminded you of your stepfather. So you could actually identify what it was. You were still a victim of it. It's not like you could get past it. It's like, okay, but what are all those characteristics that we actually don't identify that repel us?
Yeah.
We don't even notice it, but we're pushed away because it triggers some memory. We don't even know what it is. And then we say, "Ooh, I just get a weird feeling about them." Or I'm not drawn to them. And what if we spent a little bit more time doing the healing work? Like, had you actually seen that, okay, his hands remind me of my stepfather, but he's not my stepfather. Yeah. I could actually see he's not him. His hands just remind me of him. Yeah. And I could actually learn to, that's not a big deal. You just actually could say, oh, those are hands.
Right.
And, like you said, that really does come with maturity when you actually start to see, oh, those are just his hands. And it reminds me of my stepfather, and I have so many bad memories. Then you can get to work healing those memories.
Yeah.
Writing a new ending.
Yeah, exactly. So Steve, what other ways can we show up authentically, to see what is in front of us? What are other things that your advice that we can do?
Yeah, I think the top of my list is own your shit. Know your shit and own your shit. It's like, listen, I'm still a work in progress. I am forever going to be a work in progress, always learning, always uncovering things. And I'm probably going to make a lot of messes. I've made a lot of messes, and thankfully I haven't damaged anybody really deeply, but I've made some messes. I've hurt people's feelings. I've had my feelings hurt. And the more work I can do recognizing that I am flawed and just embrace that part of myself. And I wouldn't say lead with that on a first date. Just know that that's there and also have some humor around it. There is such a thing as oversharing that stuff. Like on date 1, you're talking about your exes all night long and how did this. Okay, that's a little bit much. But to actually, if you could at some point in date 1 or date 2 or date 3, start to share about some of that stuff and have some laughs about it, and really begin to share about what you learned about yourself. God, to be on a date like that, that'd be kind of like, wow, this person's really interesting. They made some mistakes and they learned from them. This is the kind of person that I'm intrigued by, not someone who shrinks back from the painful experience. Somebody who just is willing to lean in just a little bit, at least.
But you know what, Steve, it's interesting that you say that, because for my matchmaking clients, when their dates are coordinated, I give them specifics as far as topics to talk about and what to stay away from. Because on a first date, they are so into like, okay, here's my trauma, here's my past, here's my ex, here's my kids, here's my this, here's my that. I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's like the baby steps. So it's interesting that you say that, because I literally send them an email and say, topics to stay away from, topics to talk about. Like, I give them guidelines, because I found that, people really want to talk about the why they're single. And I think it's a little much for a first date.
It's a stupid
I'd like
question.
to, I do like, I can say that I have an opinion about this. Jada, 100% there. Okay. Meaning I've been on a lot of dates where the men immediately go, my ex-wife this, and my ex-wife that, and my divorce that, and this problem, and I'm paying this, and it's awful. But if they came at it in a way that Steve said it, where they say, hey, I am divorced, I have kids, I am there for my kids, I'm doing my best here. I made a mistake. I didn't honor her, or I didn't give her the attention she deserved. And it didn't work because of this or that. But this is my lesson that I learned. I would think that's the hottest motherfucking guy on earth. So I do see it, but I see it it's because it's black and white on how it's approached.
Yeah.
So I get that. If someone came and said, this is my mistake, this is what I learned, I would think, wow, this guy is really grown. He sees what he's done. He has absorbed, and moving forward, he didn't pay attention to his wife. Doesn't mean he's not going to pay attention to you. It means that he has learned his mistakes and he's aware of it. That awareness is what is sexy.
Yeah.
And how many people lead with everything that their partner did to them that they didn't like? Yes, very common.
Yeah. No thanks. I went on a date. Oh yeah, no, go ahead, Steve. One thing, what?
Oh, just to add with one of the things that you said is also, I wouldn't minimize the stuff that's happened also. Have a sense of humor about it, share about what you learned. If there's residual resentment about your past, either in relationship with yourself or a former partner, then you've still got work to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can own that. You could say, "Yeah, I'm still hurt about this, and I'm working through it." I got a great therapist, or I got great friends, or great tools and resources.
I found that a lot of men ask me on first dates, so what happened to your marriage?
Or why are you single?
Why? And I kind of honed that in, and I have remembered saying many times, well, my picker was off. I picked someone that I should not have been with. But when we were together, we didn't honor each other properly. Unfortunately, he had an affair, and I'm learning that not every man is that way. One cheated, they're not all cheating. So I'm moving forward and trying to find the right person for me. So that was always my kind of standard answer. I don't know if that was good or bad, but they didn't completely run away. So
But But I think as far as being authentic goes, that a lot of us do carry around a lot of baggage, and so it is, and this is, it doesn't control us, but it is something that a lot of us manage. And so figuring out, an authentic but appropriate way to let someone we're interested in know that this is part of our reality is a fine line, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation this morning with a client, and I was saying, everybody has trauma. Everybody has some type of trauma. Everybody has some type of baggage. Everybody has some type of thing that they go through. But it's just, are they healed from it? Have they gotten through it? And that's when you need to determine whether or not you want to move forward with this person. But we all, if we haven't experienced it, we know somebody that's experienced something. So it's just like, what are you willing to work through? And you have to have that conversation. You have to talk about it.
I mean, do you though? I mean, like with your romantic partner, I guess, like at what stage though?
I wouldn't say first date stage. But I think at some point, because you could have throughout the course of the relationship, you could have certain things that come up or certain things that trigger you that he may have, or she may have, or they may have no idea why you're triggered because you haven't had that conversation. So I don't know that I know when there's a specific timeline, but I think at some point, certain things have to come up because we've all been through something.
Yeah. I find that I say a lot of, oh goodness, I'm having a PTSD moment. Sorry. I'm having a moment. And I say to him, look, I've had some trauma in my life. I'm really tried to work through it. That's triggering me. And, I need to, keep in mind that it's not happening right now, but it is making me feel a way. And, if you ever want to hear about it, I'm open to discussing it, but I just want you to know I'm having a moment. So,
well, what about, I think that part of our authenticity is definitely our trauma and our wounds and our baggage. But what about, like the really positive, happy sides of ourselves that we want to let someone in on? How can we really make sure that we do that too?
Well, for sure, I would lead with that. That's where you want to lead with. Not sure why I didn't say that first, but for sure, I would lead with that. And one amazing conversation to have with people is, what do you love about your life? And start asking them.
Yeah.
And seeing how they come alive and light up when they talk about something that may or may not interest you, but you can hear the passion that they have for something. And then you could share about your life, and it may or may not interest them, but you're sharing about something you enjoy and love. And
I love that.
Suddenly it doesn't matter what the thing is.
Yes.
Like if they say they love mountain biking and you don't know how to ride a bike and really have no interest, you could still have a great time with them. And then later on you start wondering, gosh, is it going to be an issue if they love mountain biking so much and I don't? Well, that's not going to work for us.
And
but
it's
if they
an indicator of how you feel about the other person. Like, for instance, my boyfriend plays D&D. I doubt in my life I will ever go to a D&D party.
Yeah.
And he was so nervous to tell me that he was into it. But I found it interesting because I was into him. And I provided like a safe place for him to talk to me about it.
Yeah. And can you love that he loves it, even if it's not your cup of tea?
Yeah, I like people.
I think we should all have our own separate things in relationships anyway. I mean, we shouldn't be doing fucking everything together anyway. I think that there are certain times that we just kind of say, hey, I'm going to go do this with these people and I'll see you later. It's good to have that healthy time, that healthy space, and, having moments where you're not always together and have separate loves. And as long as someone's passionate about something, that's what I want. I want someone to be passionate. But if there's not some common ground and there's certain core things that you want in your life that they do not have, then maybe that's not the right person for you. Find someone else with passions that can also align. So Well, we've got like fucking 30 seconds left. I don't know.
Jada, Christine.
It's like, it's crazy. Oh, my
I know,
producer just said 2 minutes.
I love talking to Steve. I could talk to Steve all day long.
Steve,
You can invite me back anytime.
I love having you on. I almost think we should have you on once a month and just have you talk about different topics with us. I absolutely
Let's do it.
Freaking love having you here. We were going to talk about deception today. I think maybe we should talk about that together later and maybe come up with some things to talk about with that, because there are a lot of situations where deception's a big deal, a very big deal. So maybe we can figure that out and talk about that later.
I'm glad you brought that up because I just got an idea about it.
Okay, great. Write it down because you keep asking me and I forget, and I'm absent-minded these days.
Well,
it comes with old age.
Keep your eye on the Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On feed because Steve and I are dropping an episode on Tuesday called Foreplay for Everyone.
I'm signing to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So Janice has the same podcast, but she's changed the name. Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On. If you do not listen to the show, please do so. If you are looking to have a great dating coach and a matchmaker, Jada is your girl. Please check her out. Steve is an extraordinary man, and he is the know-all and be-all of helping you with relationships and sex.
And he's easy on the eyes.
Steve, we love you here.
You said it.
I'm single. I'm still single still. So
nice. Woo. So, girls, do you hear that?
My matchmaking mind is like,
Yeah, right. Janice has her fan out. My boyfriend's calling me, so that's a sign that I should be not commenting about how hot you are, Steve. No, I'm kidding. So, come back and see us next week. We have an incredible show coming up. I have no freaking idea what it is. My mind is thinking about a million other things, but please come back and see us. We have a great show lined up for next week. Today, Steve, was really damn good, and a compliment you gave us earlier was saying that it felt like you were eavesdropping on a girl's intimate conversation, and that is what I wanted this show to be. Made my heart fucking grow 500 sizes. So thank you for that. We love you on the show. We are really grateful for all of you who come to listen every week. Please come back and listen to us again next week. And until then, let's just keep this shit real.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.